The hidden leaf village stood bathed in the golden light of dusk, its streets alive with the hum of daily life as shinobi and civilians alike moved through their routines. Sakura Haruno walked briskly through the bustling marketplace, her mind occupied by the weight of her recent missions and the relentless pressure to keep up with her teammates, Naruto, the village hero, and Sasuke, the prodigy who had long surpassed her. Though she had trained tirelessly under Tsunade, mastering medical ninjutsu and monstrous strength, she couldn't shake the gnawing feeling of being left behind. That night, as she patrolled the outskirts of the village, the air grew thick with tension. A sudden rustle in the trees sent her instincts flaring. Before she could react, a squad of rogue ninja descended, their faces masked, their movements precise. "You're coming with us," one growled, his voice dripping with malice. Sakura's fists clenched, her chakra flaring to life as she analyzed the situation. 5 opponents, all high-ranking missing nin. She had no backup, no time to call for help. This was a fight she'd have to win alone. The first attacker lunged, a kunai gleaming in the moonlight. Sakura sidestepped, her body moving with fluid precision as she countered with a devastating punch to his ribs. The force of her blow sent him crashing through a tree, splintering wood echoing through the forest. The remaining 4 hesitated for only a second before attacking in unison. One unleashed a flurry of shuriken, another weaved hand signs for a fireball jutsu, while the last 2 blurred toward her with poison blades. Sakura's mind raced. She couldn't dodge everything. With a sharp exhale, she slammed her fist into the ground, the earth shattering beneath her knuckles as a crater formed, disrupting the attacker's footing. The fireball roared past her, igniting the trees behind her in a blaze of heat. She channeled chakra to her feet, leaping over a sweeping sword strike before driving her heel into the wielder's skull. Bone cracked under the impact, and he crumpled. But the fight was far from over. The remaining 3 regrouped, their leader smirking as he wiped blood from his lip. "Not bad, but you're outmatched." His hands flew through a sequence of seals, and the ground beneath Sakura erupted in a surge of dark tendrils, shadow-binding jutsu. She gasped as the inky strands coiled around her limbs, immobilizing her. Panic clawed at her chest, but she forced herself to focus. If she couldn't move, she'd have to rely on her chakra control. With a surge of will, she concentrated her energy into her fingertips, molding it into a scalpel-sharp blade. A single flick of her wrist severed the shadows, and she broke free just as a kunai grazed her shoulder. Blood trickled down her arm, but the pain only sharpened her resolve. Her opponent's eyes widened, she shouldn't have been able to escape. Sakura didn't give him time to recover. She closed the distance in a flash, her fist connecting with his jaw in a brutal uppercut. His head snapped back, teeth scattering as he was sent airborne. Before he hit the ground, she was already spinning to meet the next attacker, a kunoichi wielding twin daggers. The woman moved like a viper, her strikes precise and lethal. Sakura barely avoided a slash to her throat, countering with a chakra-enhanced kick that sent the kunoichi skidding back. The last rogue ninja, a burly man with a massive axe, roared as he charged. Sakura ducked under his swing, the weapon embedding itself in a tree trunk. She seized the opening, driving her palm into his sternum with enough force to rupture organs. He gagged, blood foaming at his lips as he collapsed. Breathing heavily, Sakura surveyed the aftermath, 5 enemies defeated, her body aching but intact. Yet something felt off. A presence lingered, watching. Her head snapped up just as a 6th figure emerged from the shadows, his Sharingan spinning ominously. Her breath hitched. An Uchiha? But Sasuke was the only one left. Wasn't he? The stranger smirked, his crimson eyes locking onto hers. "Impressive, Sakura Haruno. But let's see how you fare against this." His gaze intensified, the tomoe in his eyes morphing into a sinister, intricate pattern, the Mangekyou Sharingan. A searing pain erupted behind Sakura's eyes, her vision distorting as an overwhelming surge of chakra burned through her. She screamed, collapsing to her knees as her world fractured. Visions of death, of loss, of every failure she'd ever endured tore through her mind. But beneath the agony, something awakened, a power buried deep within her soul. Her hands clawed at the dirt as her own eyes burned, the familiar green of her irises flickering with something darker, something deeper. The Uchiha's smirk faltered as he took a step back. Impossible. Sakura's vision cleared, her body trembling, but not from fear. From power. She didn't understand what was happening, but one thing was certain, the fight was far from over. And this time, she wouldn't be left behind. The battlefield was a storm of chakra and desperation as Sakura Haruno stood at its center, her newly awakened Mangekyou Sharingan burning with an eerie crimson light. The air crackled with tension as she faced off against Sasuke Uchiha, his own eternal Mangekyou gleaming with cold resolve. Around them, the remnants of their once familiar training ground lay in ruins, shattered by the sheer force of their clashing energies. Sasuke lunged first, his Chidori screeching like 1,000 birds as he closed the distance in a blur. Sakura barely had time to react, but her heightened perception, courtesy of the Mangekyou, allowed her to sidestep at the last second, her fist slamming into the ground to create a shockwave that forced him back. Dust erupted between them, obscuring vision, but neither relied on sight alone. Sasuke's Sharingan traced her movements as she darted through the debris, her medical ninjutsu already knitting minor wounds shut before they could slow her down. "You've grown stronger," Sasuke admitted, his voice devoid of emotion. "But the Mangekyou is a curse, not a gift." Sakura didn't answer. Instead, she channeled chakra into her fists, the ground fracturing beneath her feet as she launched herself forward. Their collision sent a shockwave rippling outward, trees bending under the force. Sasuke parried her strikes with his sword, the steel singing as it clashed against her reinforced knuckles. But Sakura wasn't just brute force, she had trained under Tsunade for years, and her combat instincts were razor sharp. She feinted left, then twisted midair to deliver a devastating kick to his ribs. Sasuke grunted, skidding back, but his Rinnegan flared as he activated Amino Tejikara, swapping places with a nearby rock to avoid her follow-up punch. The battle became a deadly dance of strategy and adaptation. Sasuke unleashed a fireball jutsu, the flames roaring toward her, but Sakura countered by slamming her palms together, summoning a massive earth wall to absorb the blast. The heat seared the air, but she was already moving, using the smoke as cover to close in again. This time, she aimed for his blind spot, her chakra-enhanced speed making her a blur. But Sasuke was no ordinary opponent, his Rinnegan's predictive abilities allowed him to pivot at the last moment, his knee driving into her stomach. Sakura coughed blood but refused to falter. She grabbed his arm, twisting it with surgical precision, and for a split second, she had him. But Sasuke's Susanoo erupted around him, skeletal ribs shoving her back before the full form could manifest. The violet energy pulsed ominously as he rose into the air, his gaze locked onto her. "You can't win," he said coldly. Sakura wiped her mouth, her Mangekyou spinning wildly. "I don't have to win. I just have to bring you back." With a roar, she activated her own trump card, Tsunade's creation rebirth, her body glowing as her regeneration surged to its peak. But this time, something was different. Her Mangekyou's power intertwined with the technique, amplifying its effects beyond anything she'd ever achieved. The ground trembled as she surged forward, her fist colliding with Sasuke's Susanoo with enough force to crack its armor. Sasuke's eyes widened. No one had ever broken through his defense so easily. Before he could react, Sakura struck again, her blows coming faster, harder, each one guided by the Mangekyou's precognitive insight. The Susanoo fractured, then shattered entirely, sending him crashing into the earth. But Sasuke wasn't done. As Sakura moved in for the final strike, his Rinnegan glowed, and suddenly, the world inverted. She gasped as gravity reversed, her body slamming into the sky before plummeting back down. Pain exploded through her limbs, but she forced herself to roll, narrowly avoiding a Chidori spear that impaled the ground where she'd been. Breathing heavily, she locked eyes with him. "You're still holding back," she realized. Sasuke's expression flickered, just for a moment, before hardening again. "This ends now." The sky darkened as he summoned Indra's arrow, the sheer magnitude of his chakra distorting the air. Sakura knew she couldn't tank this. But she didn't need to. With a deep breath, she focused her Mangekyou's power, channeling it into a technique she had never dared to use before. The world slowed. Her vision sharpened, and suddenly, she could see the threads of chakra weaving through Sasuke's attack, the flaws, the weak points. Her body moved on instinct, dodging the first strike, then the second, her movements impossibly precise. She wasn't just fighting him, she was rewriting the battle itself. Sasuke's composure finally broke. "How?" Sakura didn't give him time to finish. With one final, earth-shaking punch, she shattered Indra's arrow mid-flight, the backlash sending both of them flying. The explosion lit up the horizon, the shockwave leveling what little remained of the battlefield. When the dust settled, Sakura was on her knees, her Mangekyou fading as exhaustion threatened to consume her. Sasuke lay a few feet away, barely conscious, his Rinnegan dim. She crawled toward him, her voice barely a whisper. "Come home, Sasuke." For the first time in years, his cold mask slipped. And in that moment, the battle was truly over. The air crackled with the weight of impending destruction as Sakura stood at the heart of the battlefield, her breath ragged but her resolve unbroken. The sky above was a swirling vortex of black and crimson, the remnants of the 10 tails chakra still staining the horizon. Across from her, the masked figure, Obito, now fully consumed by his twisted vision, raised a hand, the Kamui's distortion warping the space around them. "You're too late," he hissed, his voice echoing with the power of the 10 tails. "The infinite Tsukuyomi will cleanse this world of suffering." Sakura's fists clenched, her knuckles white. She could feel the exhaustion gnawing at her muscles, the last dregs of her chakra barely keeping her upright. But then, the memory of Naruto's unwavering smile flashed in her mind, the way Sasuke had once trusted her to fight beside him. She wouldn't fail them. Not again. Her Sharingan, now awakened to the Mangekyou, burned with an intensity that matched the fire in her heart. "No," she growled. "I won't let you decide their fate." With a burst of speed that shattered the ground beneath her, Sakura lunged. Obito's Kamui activated, his form phasing through her first strike, but she anticipated it. Her Mangekyou's unique ability, the power to perceive the infinitesimal gaps in his intangibility, allowed her to time her next blow perfectly. Her fist connected with a thunderous impact, sending him skidding back. He coughed, blood flecking his mask as he glared at her. Impossible. But the battle was far from over. The 10 tails roared, its massive limbs lashing out, forcing Sakura to weave between the onslaught. Naruto and Sasuke, battered but still fighting, appeared at her sides. "Took you long enough," Sasuke muttered, his Rinnegan flaring. Naruto grinned, golden chakra swirling around him. "Let's finish this." The trio moved as one, Naruto's Rasen Shuriken spiraled through the air, Sasuke's Amaterasu flames licked at the beast's hide, and Sakura, channeling every ounce of her strength, delivered a final, earth-shattering punch straight into the 10 tails core. The shockwave sent fissures racing across the battlefield, the beast's agonized scream piercing the heavens. Obito, realizing his defeat, staggered to his knees. The mask cracked, revealing the face of a broken man. "Why?" he whispered. Sakura approached, her Mangekyou reflecting his despair. "Because hope isn't something you destroy, it's something you fight for." As the dust settled, the infinite Tsukuyomi's light flickered and died. The world was saved, but the cost was written in the scars they bore. In the aftermath, alliances shifted. Sakura's newfound power earned her a place beside Naruto and Sasuke as equals, no longer in their shadows. The villages, united by the battle, began to rebuild. But the greatest change was within Sakura herself. The Mangekyou had shown her the fragility of life, the pain of loss, and the strength to carry on. As she stood on the cliff overlooking the sunrise, she knew this was only the beginning. The future was unwritten, and she would be the one to shape it.